So on this section, we learned about slope-intercept form and point-slope form, and we need to be able to write equations based on these forms, based on what they give you, okay? So number one, for example, it says the slope is 3 and the y-intercept's 4. What are they giving you? They're giving you a slope and an intercept. So if they're giving you a slope and an intercept, so you have to use, obviously, slope-intercept form, okay? So let's write slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. I'm changing colors so you guys could see. So the slope is 3, so it's going to be y equals 3x plus b. The b is the y-intercept, which is -4. So you could put y equals 3x plus -4, or you could just write y equals 3x minus 4. That one's super easy because they just gave you some information and they're asking for, if you look at the instructions, they're asking for the equation in slope-intercept form, and that's perfect because slope-intercept form is easy when they give you the slope and the intercept. Now, in order to understand most of these other ones, like perpendicular, parallel, we need to go back to the notes and remember what perpendicular and parallel mean when we're talking about slopes. So I've cut out the notes and pasted them right here. For number 2, well, let's go with number 3 first. Parallel is easier to understand. What are parallel lines? Parallel lines never intersect. They're going to go in the same direction, which means that they have the same slope. So whenever they say that your lines are parallel, you know that they have the same identical slope, okay? So on number 3, they're telling you that your line has to be parallel to this line. This is a line. You could actually graph it if you wanted to. It has the slope rise 2 over run 3. Your line is going to have to be parallel to this line. So indirectly, they're giving you the m value. What is the m value of your line that they're giving you? 2 over 3. That's because parallel means same slope. Now if you compare that to perpendicular lines, they have opposite reciprocal slopes, right? What does that mean? That if you change the sign and flip the fraction, that's an opposite reciprocal slope. So if they tell you that your lines are parallel, they're talking about same slope. If they're perpendicular, they're talking about opposite reciprocal slopes. So they're telling you that your line is parallel to this one, so it's going to be the same exact slope, and it also passes through the coordinate 6, 7. So that is a x and y value, okay? X and y. You could call it 1, 1 because it's only one point. There's no other point that you need to call 2, 2. Anyhow, we are going to write this in what form? Slope-intercept or point-slope? They're asking for slope-intercept. However, they don't give you a slope and an intercept. What are they giving you? They're giving you a slope and a point. So because they give you a slope and a point, well, actually they indirectly give you a slope and they give you a point directly. So you're going to be using your point-slope form. Point-slope form is up here, right? So we're going to write this equation y minus y1. And what is y1? 7. Equals m. What is m? 2 over 3. Parenthesis, x minus x1. What's x1? 6. So there we have it. That's our equation in point-slope form. If they said write it in point-slope form, we'd be done. We'd leave it like this. But because the instructions above say write it in slope-intercept form, we actually need to modify what we have right there to look like this, y equals mx plus b. So obviously, you don't want these parentheses. You don't want the minus 7. You want y by itself. So let's start moving things around and getting the y by itself. So you could get rid of the fraction 2/3 by multiplying everything by 3, but then you'd still have to distribute the 2. So what I would prefer to do is to actually deal with the 2/3 and distribute it to both terms. Okay? So let's distribute 2/3 times x. That will be 2/3 x. when you distribute 2/3 times -6, you can put the -6 over 1, and you'd have to multiply the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom. 2 times 6 is 12, and 3 times 1 is 3, and then you could actually reduce 12 over 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So let me rewrite my whole equation here. Well, let me just bring this down first. Y minus 7 equals, now we said that this guy over here is going to be 4, so let me rewrite that. Minus 4, and we have a 2/3 x equals y minus 7. I apologize, that 2/3 is nasty. So let me now subtract, or not subtract, add 7 to get y by itself. Add 7, and I'll have my final answer, y equals 2/3 x plus 3. So we wrote the equation. We technically wrote it in both forms. We started up here with point slope. Why did we start with point slope? Because they indirectly gave us a slope and they straightforward gave us a point. So we wrote in point slope, and then we changed the way it looks only because the instruction said to write it in slope-intercept. Let's go back to number 2, especially because there was a typo on number 2. There's a missing x right here if you didn't notice. So we all need to put an x right there. My bad. So we have this slope-intercept form equation. It says y equals 1/2 x minus 1. But they tell us that they want us to write our own equation that's perpendicular to this guy. Okay? The only thing that we need out of this is to take the information they give us and find the slope. So what is our slope? What is our m value going to actually be if this line is perpendicular and their slope is 1/2? It's going to be -2 over 1, right? The slope is really going to be -2 over 1. Remember, perpendicular, where is it at? Here it is. Whoops. Perpendicular have opposite reciprocal m values. Opposite reciprocal m values. They change the sign and flip the fraction. So if you change the sign of the 1/2, it becomes -1/2, and if you flip it, it becomes 2 over 1. So your slope, your actual slope of the equation that you want to write is -2 over 1, which is also just known as -2. So that's your slope, right? What else do they give you? So let's first understand this. They indirectly gave us an m value. They didn't straightforward say, hey, your slope is -2. They indirectly gave you that with the perpendicular 2. Now, what else do they give you? They give you an X-intercept. Now, please do not make the mistake of thinking that this is a Y-intercept. This is not your B value, okay? Because the B value is a Y-intercept. This is an X-intercept. So you actually need to think about what they're giving you. They're giving you a coordinate. What is that coordinate really? Think about this. X-intercept at 4. X-intercept at 4. What does that really mean? It means to go out 1, 2, 3, 4 and put a dot right there, right? So if you're at 1, 2, 3, 4, what is this coordinate right there? That's 4, 0. So indirectly, they also give you the coordinate 4, 0. See how interesting this gets? You got to be able to read and understand what they're giving you, right? They're not giving you an equation up here. They're indirectly giving you the slope, because perpendicular to this would be -2. Right here, X-intercept at 4, you need to think about what that means. Visualize it. Understand that that's really the coordinate 4, 0. And indirectly, now they're giving you a point 4, 0. So indirectly, they gave you a point 4, 0 and a slope -2. So now you could actually write an equation. What equation are you going to write it in? Slope-intercept form or point-slope form? Point-slope form. And again, it's up here. Uh-oh, starting to lose control of this thing. So let's write it in point-slope form. Y minus y1. What's y1? Come on, people. What's y1? 0. Equals, whoops, let me change colors here. Equals, oh man, that's ugly. Equals, m, what is m? -2 parenthesis x minus what? Minus 4. So this is now in point slope form. Now I need to change it to slope-intercept form. So I'm going to distribute, and I'm going to get negative 2x plus 8 equals y take away 0 is just y. And guess what? It's done. It's in slope-intercept form. The y is by itself. The slope is negative 2 over 1. The y-intercept's 8. You got it? So the important thing here is not to just be able to do math. You got to be able to read and understand the information they're giving you and be able to pull out information to use to plug into the forms.